Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new collab Rimuru Raphael cosplaying as Frieren. And he seems to be a very interesting character, for lack of a better term. Space and magic, adventurer, stern of spirit, fount of wisdom, wielder of magic, very typical teams for a Raphael minus adventurer. Uses a hammer. However, if you go into the part 2 shop, we do have dedicated unique gear for this Raphael, so you don't have to make new gear for her. You just buy this out when you get enough currency and kind of work on that as you go. So that is nice, but I have a spare space hammer lying around and I got spare jackets, so that's fine. The alt is a support alt, so 150%, terrible multiplier. I hate that about support alts. And then gives weakness strike permanently to adventurer allies, who you're going to be using a lot of Raphael's alts. And 25% is the bare minimum. This is with no dupes and with no investment in the Unbound ability board. So that's bare minimum. If you get an EX alt, it jumps up to 50% per alt. First skill is 70% attack for everybody, including the backline, and then a 100% weakness resistance down debuff, which, every time you ult with this Raphael, will increase by 10% up to a max of 150. So you have to ult with this character 5 times to max out the weakness resistance down. Now this skill, it looks cool, ooh, 150% and 70% attack, that's great. Until you remember that you gotta ult 5 times, which you're not really gonna do in most scenarios. And weakness resistance down only matters to people who have type advantage. And a lot of difficult events nowadays are type neutral, of which case weakness resistance means nothing. So this skill, while dependent on you being in a type advantage scenario with a type advantage nuker, is good. There are more and more stages that are just going to make this unusable, or at least not very usable, minus the 70% attack buff, which for 90 points is a joke. So we'll have to see how well this character ages with this. Second skill is a triple orb steal and a convert into orange orbs. Now, the global skill preview did not have that info. The JP one did, but it was mistranslated on my end, and I didn't realize that it actually also said converts into Soul of Secrets. So not only are you getting a triple orb steal like the Wind Hero or Summer Hinata or Bride Shuna, it's also converting them to oranges automatically, unless they are already oranges, in which case nothing will happen. And then on top of that, you get a 50% protection gauge increase on orange orbs for 1 turn. So this 50%, no matter who you're stealing from, you're going to get at least 3 oranges, which means that those minimum 3 orange orbs are going to have 50% extra protection gauge. Sometimes that's useful, sometimes it's not. I can see cases where it would be both. The Valor trait seals magic skills, which is good, and then the actual trait when you do pull her, if you do pull her, because there's also a bingo mission that gives you a free dupe, and it's fairly simple bingo missions. The event right here, so you see the memory shard right here, you just have to do a few things and evolve the gear and forge the bracelet, and then you get a free dupe. And so if you do happen to pull this Raphael, you will have access to this trait, which is a pretty crappy trait, quite honestly. I can see why they gave a dupe away for free, but it's defense down. The most unuseful thing in the game. So, yeah, things aren't really looking great for her, but let's try her out. Alright, starting off, we're going to use her on the Adventurer team. Himmel, Stark, Violet, and Octagram Lumi are going to be pretty good mainstays, at least until Fern comes out. And then we've got Frieren and Raphael. So let's see how well this works and how many stacks of alts that we can get to try and max out this the weakness strike and everything. Okay, so turn 1. Normally, we would have Ogre's Pride Soe here to convert, and we would send 4 blues. However, depending on our luck, we can do this. So we can bring Raphael in, and if we can successfully steal these 2 Stark orbs, not only will we steal them, and one of the Lumi orbs, we would also convert them to oranges. So let's see if we're lucky, and we are. So the automatic convert plus the triple orb steal now gives us 5 orbs, which then we can bring in Frieren and give her very close to an EX alt turn 1. So it works, you know, it works. You can always RNG and not steal those 2 Stark orbs, and then you would have 1 blue and 5 oranges, and that's not great. But here, you know, it's fine for the most part. But the protection gauge is only 1 turn. So what we're going to end up looking like is we're going to steal here, boom, or not steal, but we're alt swap, and then we will alt buff, boom, and then we'll bring you in for Stark, and then we will convert with Himmel. And then next turn, turn 3, we will have an EX ult for Frieren, and then we can just start wailing on the Orb Steal skill and try and get as many ults as possible for this Raphael, because we want to stack the Weakness Strike permanently from the support ult, and we want to stack the Weakness Resistance down from the skill itself. So, Lumi is done, so we'll do 1 buff here, and I think we'll just go with that 1 buff so we have some points left over. And yeah, and so we'll bring Stark in. We will alt swap away. We can taunt and get some synergy resistance down. And then we bring Violet in, quote unquote. I mean, we don't have to, but we can. We'll do this, and then we'll simply yoink all these orbs out. Boom. Okay, so we don't have a full hand of Raphael. Not a big deal. We're still going to send the ult for Raphael, which will give us permanent weakness strike. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we're pretty much just chilling. We're chillaxing. We don't have as much protection gauge because we weren't maximizing our slots and everything. Not a super huge deal. All right, we crit right there. Not great. But now we have an EX ult, so we've sent 1 normal ult, 25% weakness strike. We're going to send this ult. That's going to be a lot more. So let's do you out of here now. We will alt swap again, and we will do another synergy resistance down stack. And then we'll bring Lumi in, and we will AoE buff, and then we will orb steal again. We're not getting any orbs for Raphael, which is quite shocking, actually, because normally we do get them. All right, so let's see. Do we stack again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, let's not stack again. Let's just send it. So that's an EX ult. So now that's 50% permanent weakness strike on top of the 25% that we did from the last turn. 75% total weakness strike, and we've gotten 2 stacks of the skill. And now we've got, okay, that's a little bit better right there, where we have multiple orbs for Raphael already, so when we steal, it's going to be all Raphael orbs. That's what we're really looking for to try and maximize this. So let's go alt buff there, boom, and then we'll bring Stark back in, and we'll just keep doing this over and over and over. Alt swap away, it's turn 5, so let's use the Unleash Magic skill. We get that ready. Okay, cool, 93 points. Let's go ahead and yoink those away, boom. Full hand, stack of Himmel, and this is essentially what they want you to do, is they want you to get the ult for Frieren very quickly, and then just spam the steal skill over and over. And because they're converting to oranges, and because of Himmel automatically converting, and then actively converting, you're pretty much always guaranteed to send oranges, regardless of what you do. So even if this hand was all greens, like, 3 of them would have converted, and then we would use Himmel, or we would steal them, and they would turn orange anyways. And there's like 3 different ways we're changing oranges without having to use a true, like, orb convert, which makes things very easy, and it takes a lot of the RNG out, but at the same time, it's very wonky to do. Like, you look at it and you'd be like, this feels weird. So, there's the full hand of oranges, okay. We got to use Stark 1 more time technically, but I want points, so you know what? Let's do another steal. Boom, boom. Only 4 orbs there, but can we do anything else? I guess we can bring Lumi in for Stark, and then use her last AoE buff. Boom. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, let's get another stack from Himmel. And we have I don't really know how I feel about this, quite honestly. Alright, boom, cool. And then more weakness strike, continually stacking weakness strike over and over and over and over. Now, during the stream, when we tested this character, between bringing Raphael and then bringing, say, Ogre's Pride Soe, we did lose a bit of damage. And now that we're bringing Stark instead of Overlord Shizu, we're losing a lot of damage. So this is not going to be as much as you would think, but it is still quite a bit. We just have to use a literal butt ton of points over and over and over and over again. So you know what? I'm not even going to alt swap away with Stark. I'm just going to send Frieren away. And yeah, we'll do this, and then we will steal again? Do we even have to steal? I don't think we should steal. Let's do this. Boom. That changes all of them to oranges now. Cool. We'll probably get another alt out of this. How many points we need? We need to do one more stack here. Okay, and then we should be good. Alright. Cool. And then this is our 4th alt, and we get another alt, so that'll be number 5. But we have to send alts before using the skill. So even though we have a 5th alt here, we have to use the skill before we alt. So it's only going to count for 4 stacks. Alright, Stark has a bunch of skills, that's good. So we can just swap him out for Frieren. So the Unleash Magic skill is now active. We get the 100% attack buff on Frieren, which will stack alongside the 70% that we're going to get from Raphael. So we'll bring you in for Stark. We're capped out on his synergy buff. We have 296 points. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, we're actually missing an alt buff stack. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh well. We'll still do this. So we're at... Oh no, we did get 5 alts. Okay, well, that works then. So we're fully maxed out on the weakness resistance down. Magic buff, guaranteed synergy, 120% alt damage, plus the 60% that we're getting from Lumi, and the 30% AoE buff that we've been stacking the entire time. So we're up to 200% weakness strike. And that is strictly from the alts we've been sending with Raphael, which we're going to get another 25% because we're going to send this one. So it's actually 225% weakness strike. And then AoE attack 30% from Lumi, the attack from Unleash Magic, the 70% attack from Raphael's skill, magic attack from Violet, guaranteed synergy from herself. The alt is at 180%. And then we have the resistances down from synergy and the elements, and then weakness resistance down, capped out at 150. So let's go ahead and send the Raphael alt first. That way we can get the full power of what we've been stacking. And, you know, we can watch this too. Why not? So you see how it's meant to work? And I really don't know if it's something I really agree with, because when I was running the Soe team, it ran fairly well. And even though we're not getting 200% weakness strike or whatever, we got 100% synergy power, which is a lot better. So, I really don't know how I feel about this quite yet. So let's send that, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So here's the Raphael alt, which I do like. It does look very good. So going to black hole some rocks and then turn it to ice somehow. And then we're going to Zoltrak. It looks pretty. And then I don't know where these flowers came from, but sure. 3 million damage right there. I mean, that's fairly good for a support alt, right? And then her 200% orb, because she's been buffed to the gills, 2.8 million damage, and we just kill Yuki. But then the Frieren alt, when she's done, and she's got all her buffs, and remember, we're still missing another 20% alt damage. How much are we going to do here? Probably around 35 million, something like that. 36? 38. Okay, well, yeah, roughly around there. 38 million. So it works. We're converting, we're stealing, we're stacking weakness strike, and of course when Fern comes out, we'll be stacking the weakness strike for her as well. Like, I get what they want us to do with this team. I don't know if I really like doing it, though, personally. Triple orb stealers are generally meant to orb steal and then GTFO. They're not meant to sit here and just send alts over and over and over again. And they're really trying to push the whole weakness strike support ults, I think, is what they're really doing. But, let's take her off this team and put her on a different orange team and see how it goes, I guess. Alright, we're going to go into Tempered Edge Clayman using a Fire Physical EX Unbound Tempest Elite Rimuru. And we're going to show that the 50% protection gauge buff will carry over into some rainbow orbs because they're technically orange as well. This should work, and we're going to use New Year's Shion. One, because Rimuru is physical, and so we'll get the guaranteed synergy and crit. But also, Shion, being an older protector, does not change every orb to orange, so there could be a turn where we get like 5 greens or 4 greens, and we wouldn't be able to traditionally change that. But if we're going to use Raphael's Convert, we can kind of play around that without having to use rainbows at all. But let's see if we can even get to that point. Alright, so turn 1 we have to orb change and all this. And then we will swap you for you. And then, yeah, we'll go ahead and send this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Doesn't really matter what we're doing here. I just want to be able to convert with her while also converting with Shion. So what do we get? Okay, what we can do here is we could prove a point, actually. So let's do the convert with Benimaru. Intentionally give ourselves 5 blues, of which Shion would only convert 3 of them. So we'd have 3 oranges, 2 blues, and a green. In fact, let's just do that now for funsy onesies, just so we have the example ready. So boom. Okay, well that's quite unfortunate. It's not a full send. However, we can then steal those orbs into 6, and they were already orbs to begin with. Okay, so that's some other thing, is that if we don't steal them, they don't actually change. So there's some knowledge for you. Let's try that again, but this time not have it be like that. Okay, so we're back. This will work. We have 4 green orbs, so if we steal these 3 Benimaru orbs, orange, green, and blue, that's going to be 3 orange Raphael orbs. And then we can use Shion to convert the 3 remaining greens, and that will give us the full hand of orange. So we'll do this, boom, and then Shion comes in, and, well, it doesn't come in, but we'll use her, and that'll change the remaining ones. And now we have 6 oranges with the 50% protection gauge buff, and we could bring in Tempest Elite Rimuru now, but let's then bring in New Year's Rimuru just to show that the rainbow orbs, when we change them, will retain that 50% protection gauge buff. So boom, 10% damage, yes, but also the 50% protection, because they technically count for all 3 colors, which is why it has the orange and the blue and the green. So if we put, like, Divine General Diablo's 50% buff on for everything, it would also count, and then we'd be getting 100% protection gauge because of 50 and 50. But now we can safely bring in Tempest Elite Rimuru and give him an EX ult and then some, and quite a bit of protection gauge, so now we're capped out on Shion. And, that works pretty well. It does. And it got us out of a scenario where we were not traditionally able to convert that hand of 4 greens. So there are uses for it outside of the actual meta. As far as it being super duper useful, well, I don't really know about that part. But let's go ahead and continue to just burn off some points, because we got 2 more turns and I want to attempt to use everything. So we'll go to turn 5 and we'll just get the 30 and then another 30. So boom, boom. Cool, thank you. Yep, love to see it. Alright, the blues are nerfed, not a big deal. We've got a double Shion technically, and now we have 228 points. So let's use the personal buff, let's use the physical and the ult resistance down. And, she works as a triple orb stealer. Is she the best in every scenario? No. Are we actually going to benefit off the weakness resistance here? Yeah. Have we ulted with her to make it even higher? No. But That's going to be the story for the most part. Like, I don't know of a lot of teams outside of the Frieren collab that okay, we gotta turn this off. That you're actually going to send 5 alts for this Raphael and then send your nuking character. It's like that part of the skill I think is just a gimmick, and while it's kind of a funny gimmick, I think it's a bit unnecessary. So 1.3 million, 100% weakness resistance down. 70% attack outshines the personal 30% attack buff that Rimuru gives himself anyways. So technically, like, we didn't need to use that skill for the attack buff because Rimuru already gave it to himself. But hey, it is what it is, and it works. You got to kind of build a team, and if you're not running oranges, then it's kind of wonky unless you're going to bring a rainbow converter. So maybe you use this in Valor Cup or something. But again, in Valor Cup, if you're nuking type neutral, the weakness resistance means absolutely nothing. So unless you're building a nuking team for every single element, like, you're not getting that much use out of it. And I don't know if it's worth summoning if you already have a triple orb stealer for like Bride Shuna or Summer Hinata or the Wind Masked Hero. Like, those are fine, and they do what we need them to do. Triple orb steal. We don't really use them that much for their other skills. They're the AoE skill, or the crit and enamor strike, or the light and crit damage. Like, we don't use them for those skills. We use them for the orb steal, and that's about it. And if that's what you want to do for this Raphael, like, that's certainly something you can do. And by changing oranges, you'll automatically get protection gauge on those, at least 3 oranges, and that's cool. But this skill just seems wildly expensive and not very useful for a lot of different scenarios. Because, even right now, we had the Holy Knight event. That was type neutral. The weakness strike wouldn't have mattered. We have the Perfect Replicas damage ranking event. This is type neutral, so weakness resistance down doesn't matter. So I'm not a big fan of that part of her kit. And so I think everyone can safely skip unless they are a collector and they want her because she's never coming back. This is a collab character. They will never return. So if you want her, you better get her now. And if you don't care about it, then it's an easy saving crystals method. But let me know what you guys think of this new Raphael. Only 2 clips because the first one was kind of long. But she's just a bit weird. Like, you can make use of everything in some way, shape, or form. But I don't know if I would want to on many other teams. That's the thing. So that's it from me. Take it easy. And I'll see you all later.